Hello, rollers. Welcome back to Infodump. It's been a minute. We missed you. How are you? My name is Colin. I am half of your hostess with the mostest. I use they and he pronouns.
Hi, I am Hannah. My pronouns are they, them. I am the other half of your hostess with the mostest. And we're back.
We are. Yeah, how you doing, Hannah?
2026 has certainly kicked it off with a bang, huh?
There were 48 hours when I was really hopeful. Like I was really like 2026 might be better, might be on the upswing. We might have like done the dip of the roller coaster and now we're climbing a new hill. No. That was merely a tiny blip and we've continued downwards.
You know, the thing is, I do agree in some ways, but I also do think it's darkest before the dawn. I think the stuff that we are seeing now, the evil that pervades our world is not new. Although it is reaching a new level of depravity publicly that I think is newer, at least for some of us. But what is new for me is watching people fight back with the strength and veracity that people are fighting back. That I'm tickled pink. I'm tickled pink by some of the stuff that we're seeing right now, just in the world at large. Yeah. And I think also I feel much more strongly in this moment solidarity with a lot of other people in my life and community. Just in so much that every time you ask somebody how they are, they're like, "I'm good. Everything's really good." I mean, in my personal life, things are good. See, not really like kind of in the macro sense, but
right.
In the micro
this is really
sense,
the thing is that like my slice of the world, this little bit right here that I can control seems like it's going okay.
Yeah.
Everyone else.
Right. We are all but threads in a tapestry, each one of us tiny, making up a huge collaborative whole. So, I think if enough threads are like, my life is okay. I'm listening to a lot of Bad Bunny, and now my TikTok feed is full of really sweet and kind strangers who want to teach me Spanish, and I'm enjoying that part of my life.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I saw a video yesterday of a guy who was like, what if your childhood self could talk to you? It was a skit video, and it ended up with me crying and being like, you're right, my childhood self would just think it was really cool that I had my own apartment and could drive. You're right.
Right?
That is,
like they might be
success.
horrified that we capitulated to having a capitalist-driven economy and like the need for a job and whatever, but they're also going to be like, oh my God, you have your own house. That's so cool.
You have friends and you have cats and you have a job and you have tattoos and you wear your hair how you want and you wear all the clothes that I thought were really cool in high school. So on that level, I think I'm doing okay. Also, we're back from the holiday season, which means we're finally playing D&D again.
Yes, we are.
The holiday starvation period is over. I'm sure I am not alone in the TTRPG community being like, yeah, we have a really consistent schedule. I play every single week. Another one of my games I play every other week. It's great. It's really consistent. And then we hit November and then we don't play.
And then we don't play for 6 straight weeks. And then we hope that everyone's got the motivation to get back into it in January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you doing, Colin?
I am also okay. I think you hit it right on the head. It is a weird time to ask, how are you? But I am managing. I am coping. Dear listeners, I lost my cat recently, and I have been navigating that for a little while. So, if you have been following us on @NoGoodCats, you will see less cats on that channel. But I'm also crawling my way back into it's spring, it's getting warm, and I have some exciting stuff on the horizon. So yeah, hanging in there.
You have a wonderfully big heart, and I know your boy was very loved. And it's always very hard to
Thank you.
say goodbye to somebody like that.
If I'm being honest, and I was honest with my therapist, so I'll be honest with my dear listeners and you, Hannah, I felt way more about my cat than I did about my 3 grandparents that have all passed in the last 7 or 8 years. Like those definitely hit me, but there was a very different level of losing my familiar, my creature that was that we were very, very bonded and that I'd raised since a kitten and had almost 5 really good years with. And just a whole different sort of grieving process that I'm walking through now.
It's different when it's a critter who they can't talk, and we put so much of ourselves into them and into taking care of them. And I think it's always very hard to come to the end of that journey. You kind of always know that when you're signing up to take care of an animal. They don't understand that that's the agreement, but you're like, okay, so I'm going to be your person. I'm going to make sure you eat and you have a nice place to sleep and that you have plenty of space to play and that you have access to good friends if you can make them. I'm going to make your life everything that it can be. And then at the end, I'm going to be there with you. Mm-hmm. And that is so hard when they don't understand that's the agreement, but also when you retroactively forget that that's the agreement because you're like, well, but I really like the first part. The first part rules.
My own experience has been I had pairs of rats before we adopted our boys.
Of course.
And it's a very different experience because you kind of can't forget that agreement because they're only going to be around for 2 years max.
Yes.
It's you just don't have a lot of time.
I stopped being able to have rats because of that. Because by the way, if you've never had rats, let me sell you. Let me sell you on rats. Rats are so good. They are so full of love and personality. And anytime a parent is considering getting a rodent for their child, great first pet for a child to have, I always advocate for rats. They're so smart. They're trainable. They are incredibly social. They'll bond to you very strongly.
They're not little assholes like hamsters.
Yes. Hamsters
and
9
gerbils.
times out of 10, hamsters hate you. I've definitely seen hamsters who love their humans. They are in the minority. I don't get a rat. But the thing about rats is they just don't live that long. They only live 2 to 4 years at most. And because they have such big personalities, it's so hard to let them go in that amount of time.
Yeah.
Or to forget that you only have that amount of time. And for a child, 2 to 4 years is a long time.
That's a solid percentage of their life already.
Mm-hmm. It's a solid percentage of their life. But as I've gotten older, it's been harder and harder to be like, oh, you mean I'm not even going to have her when I'm 36? She's probably already going to be gone by then. I can't do it. No way.
Hannah, 36 was 4 years ago.
Imagine getting a dog.
Stop.
And it's okay, so the dog will be an adult instantly. Oh, sorry. Time marches on, does it not? Spring comes again.
Time endlessly marches on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
get a rat.
Anyway, rats are great pets. Highly recommend East Bay Vivarium, anyone who's around the Bay Area. Also, it's a great, true story. I have had two very successful dates at the East Bay Vivarium, both of which involved looking at cool lizards and reptiles and then purchasing rats. Yeah,
that sounds about right. Usually every time I hang out with a reptile, I'm like, this is so cool. Especially snakes. And then they're like, right, you remember what they eat. And I'm like, you can't have those, actually. You're you're living on sausage, my friend. Yeah. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. Nothing against snakes. I love snakes. They gotta eat. But they gotta eat. But not my beloved friends, the rats. You can't take me to New York either because I'm like, I want
to pick them up. I'm like, no, wait,
I'm terrible.
Those are street rats. Those are not. That's not a good idea.
In my mind, I know you can't, but in my heart, I love the rats.
I would like to just cuddle all of them.
Yes, I would. And that is why you can't take me anywhere.
That's why. Okay, good to know.
Yeah, that's why.
Anyway.
I know you've been wondering.
I wonder about many things, including why certain people cannot be brought certain places, for sure.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway,
my heart grieves for your heart, and
thank you. Yeah.
I'm in it with you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. You want to talk about games?
I would love to talk about games.
Let's do it. In spite of once again reminding myself and leaving, I think, a notification on my phone, I still don't have a dice, so I'm going to see how Google does for me today as we roll these. It does not like me. That's a 2.
Okay, let's see. That is a 9 for me.
All right. Anna, take it away.
I would love to. Colin, it's a new year.
It is.
It's a new year. It's not a new me. It's pretty much the same me that it's been. But I think it's always good at the beginning of the new year to, although we're a little bit off. It's February 7th at the time we're recording this. It'll be a little later than that when you hear it. But still, I think close enough to the beginning of the year to think about what happened last year. And of course, like at the beginning of January and kind of all throughout, I was reading a bunch of articles about what it was like in the TTRPG space now that we're able to kind of look back at 2025 cumulatively. And so I read some stuff from TTRPG industry professionals, Chris Hutton at TTRPG Insider, and some people at Rascal had some really good conversations about what the last year was like in the TTRPG space. It's been a rough year for TTRPGs this year. On reflection, obviously, just in kind of the community space in the Bay Area, Big Bad Con did not happen this year. Felt really felt sad about that, especially in October when it usually is. And just in general, the Trump tariffs have had a pretty negative impact on shipping and production of any kind of physical memorabilia for games. There's been a lot of competition with low quality AI slop. The AI slot machine is going like harder than ever right now.
Yes.
And
yes, it is.
The Colby Whitaker, who's an author and contributor on the Game Master series, I think summed it up best when they said 2025 was the year that the OGL debacle finally bore fruit with the release of Daggerheart and Draw Steel. We finally saw the full launch of D&D 2024 and continued personnel shifts at WotC. And a lot of industry vets are waiting to see if Wizards will have a substantial release for the new rules under the implementation of 2024 in the coming year. It'll be interesting to see what the indies do in this coming year. It's been a hard past year for the indies. Not that people have not been making some incredible games independently, just that it's been harder to do in the last year than in the past 5. And it'll be also interesting to see how I think a lot of people in the TTRPG space would probably agree with me that games are how we process a lot of our feelings around what is going on, both micro and macro. And it'll be interesting to see TTRPGs if they grow as kind of a method to cope with and strategize around authoritarianism. For us personally, at the podcast, we had 32 episodes last year.
We did.
We did.
Wow.
You have been a very busy bee in the last year.
I just really think about that section of the summer when I was like, fuck, we need to get a whole bunch of interview guests lined up like right now. And then I talked to all of them in the span of like 2 weeks and then was like completely burnt out on talking to people.
Yeah. Which is a surprise that can even happen to you. You're one of the talkiest people I know.
I am. It's true. And I do love talking to people. And still is like, can I just stop? Yeah.
Yeah. There was a point at which I was looking at our calendar and I was like, Jesus Christ. I don't think Colin has gone even like a few weeks without doing like 1 or 2 interviews back to back. There was a point at which we were not even recording new interviews because we had so many in the tank, it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And we had the D&D 2024 series where we brought back some of our favorite guests like Meta Larson and Kai Chang and the Slovenly Trolls. Great episodes to listen to just to kind of get a sense of 2024 as people were first sort of receiving the materials and kind of chewing on them. We started Infodump in May. We had some incredible guests, including all of the people that I just mentioned, some amazing small independent creators in the space. Patrick Perini, Oathbreaker Carey, Lucas Zellers was one of my favorites, guy who created
I mean, and while we're on this, I'm going to say again, like, I really enjoyed your interview with Spency. I thought it was super fun.
Thank you.
And it was really nice. It was really nice for me to kind of listen to how someone else wants to approach a similar structure, if you will.
Yeah. Spency and I had a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun. You know, we've talked about how the kind of the concept behind the Roll Report in general from Jump was there are so many interesting people in this space, and I really just want to sit down and talk to a whole bunch of them. How do I make excuses to show up in their inbox with really no prior introduction and be like, hey, do you want to sit around and talk to me for an hour? And I have definitely felt the way that this show gives me that same opportunity in the last year. Carrie and Spency and Brian, all people who I have been TikTok mutuals with for a while, who I think are really cool. Matt Say as well. Really, really cool people who I've always wanted to get up the gumption to talk to, and who this show has given me a vehicle to do so. And it turns out they're just as cool as I thought.
Pretty much.
So, I really, really enjoyed the opportunity to talk to Spency personally, and also just to listen to your conversations with all of our wonderful friends this year.
Thank you. Yeah.
I don't know. How are you feeling about the previous year? Like, what do you think the future for the space is this year?
This is interesting because this is also a conversation that's been going on a little bit behind the scenes of several other things that I'm working on. And one of the things that has been revealed, I love working for and with people that want to dive into statistics more than I do and are excited about like looking at things. And so what we know is, in addition to how difficult the unpredictable nature of our unhinged Cheeto in chief was making the tariffs, and whether or not there were like small things were exempt, and whether or not print material was going to be all of that bullshit aside, on like a more direct connection to us, actual plays were also hugely down in listener and viewership across the board. People reported people that started like a new season or a new, like the next arc in 2025, I think had, maybe a third the numbers they were expecting based on previous. So what I see a little bit and what I feel is kind of some pessimism around the constant intrusion of AI into creative fields. For one, I'm sure it's only a matter of time. I will, in fact, in this moment, I will say, I bet $1. Listeners, rollers, I bet all of you $1 that by the end of the year, there will be an entirely AI-produced actual play with only AI actors and a DM.
Oh, see, I was with you. Until the second half.
Okay.
I actually completely agree with you that almost certainly we are going to see an entirely AI produced show by the end of the year.
Yeah. And that is like, I think that contributes to something that we've talked about before that I've mentioned with a number of guests of how oversaturated the space is, because literally anyone can make a podcast, can do a thing now. And I love that. I love that technology and miniaturization and like slow march of price downwards has made it possible for anyone who is excited and passionate to make a creative thing, to put a podcast into the world that is about whatever the fuck you want. And I love that generally. I'm mildly annoyed about it specifically for us because I'm like, I think we do good
Right.
stuff, and I would love if there was less people doing stuff exactly like we do, although
Yeah.
there's not a lot. And so I feel some pessimism from both the oversaturation from actual creative humans and from the potential of AI to really insert itself into this space. On the other hand, I do think it is very encouraging that we saw these like big releases that people were very excited about that are competitors to D&D that will maybe push Wizards to actually treat their community like a fucking community and not like rubes with too much money that they need to extract from. Yeah, I think that's when I look back, I think I'm feeling a lot of that. There's also, I still think it was a huge, there's probably many things happening behind the scenes, but I think it was a huge wasted or missed opportunity for Critical Role to not have their awesome season 4 with Brennan DMing and not use Daggerheart. Like to go back to D&D. I'm so curious. I would love to talk to anyone who can tell me anything about that decision and why it was made or how it was made.
Yeah.
Reach for the stars. Why not?
It'd be interesting too, because it's certainly not that Brennan is not familiar with and capable of running other systems. Right.
Right?
Interesting.
I bet I would assume it is some either pre-existing or new marketing licensing deal. I have to, in the absence of information, my assumption is Hasbro, Wizard, someone was like, hey, here's a lot of money to not switch systems, to keep doing D&D.
I agree with you. And I also, what I will say is, from what I've read, interviews with the cast of Critical Role, interviews with people who are have a lot of insight into that situation, there was significant skepticism from anyone that they would be changing over systems, mostly because of their pre-existing very strong relationship with Wizards. Sure. I definitely think it's very interesting to kind of look at that situation as sort of indicative of what feels like a strain that is going on within the community presently. We've pointed to the new season of Critical Role not changing systems. We've pointed to the prevalence of AI slop right now. We've pointed to the oversaturation of the independent market, both in the podcast space and in the TTRPG space. I think what we are seeing is like the straining at the very edges of the end of several trends. I think what I have been seeing in the AI space right now, generally, we're talking macro, not just in the TTRPG space. I think we are very rapidly reaching where the AI bubble is going to pop, because more and more the general consensus by the public, which is accurate, is that you've created a tool that does nothing of use to me.
Yeah, we don't want it. We don't need it. It takes water. It doesn't do anything useful.
You keep inventing use cases for it.
I was going to say, a lot of people seem to really like the fact that you can like take a woman's clothes off artificially and put her face on someone else's body. People love shit like that, which says weird things about the state of our species.
Yeah. No, there are definitely people who are very interested in the exploitive aspects of AI. But generally speaking, general public consensus is that you have created a tool that does not have a use case. And you've applied its use cases to things that are either joy-filled creative experiences that humans should get to do on their own, or tasks that humans are perfectly capable of doing on their own with very minimal effort. And you've done so at the cost of huge costs. The ability of humans to believe what they see, literally. You've undermined public ability to have faith in literally the things that their eyes see everywhere. You've had a huge negative impact to the environment. You cost a huge amount of money, and you are not putting out a product that anybody really wants.
dancers in the Bay Area used to have this thing where we all pass around the same $20 bill going to each other's shows. However, that debatably creates some value. AI is this weird circular logic of billions and billions of dollars that show absolutely no product. I'm mind-boggled at like the sort of recursive circularity, like going down the rabbit hole, because I have learned that someone I know is working for a startup, which is an AI company that makes AIs that build other smaller AIs.
Yeah.
I'm like, and where does it end?
It will, is the thing. And what we are
and
really
it's going to take a lot of poor people with it, because it is rapacious capitalism at its worst.
It's going to take a lot of people with it, not just within the industry itself, but within the American economy generally, because so much of the U.S. economy right now is founded on like these 5 to 8 companies that are making AI. Once the emperor is revealed to have no clothes, it's going to be bad for everybody. But it does seem like that moment is rapidly approaching. The vibes in the air are that this is not something that is going to go on for all that much longer.
Take the money and run.
Yeah, that's where it is right now. And I feel very similarly about all of the other things that we've just discussed. I think we are going to see in response to like the same oversaturation that came out of 2020. I think we're going to see this big drop off in content. I think we're going to see like people start to transition out of the space, at least in terms of content generation. I think we're going to see the cannibalization and merging of a lot of different projects, just because there's so many. Every guest that we have on the show has been on like 3 or 4 actual plays that I've never heard of. Many of which, when I go to look at them, are now defunct. Actual plays are very hard to produce,
and high quality, and and had good production values, and were like many people were putting in a lot of effort.
Yeah, they're hard to make. They're really hard to make well. Yeah. And right now the space is so oversaturated that a lot of them, even with all of this hard work going into them, are just not getting seen. Yeah. And so I think what we're going to see is people pulling, especially as the world becomes darker. I think that we are going to see people allocate their energy elsewhere. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what comes out of that.
I think there's also an interesting part of this. I have a vague thing, but I think I'm more interested in talking about industry trends that we've noticed and what we're predicting. I think this is great. What was I going to say? Fuck.
It's in there. What were you going to say?
It's in there. I was going to say something about...
you know what you do when you have a magic 8-ball and the answer is unclear? You just got to shake it a little bit and it'll come back.
I just shake my head a little bit.
Yeah, you just got to shake it a little bit and it'll come back.
I mean, one thing I was going to say, I've been having a number of conversations, and I think, it works. You shake something, it'll work.
Yeah.
I've been having a number of conversations about what the definition of success means. I'm going to come back to like even our last Infodump, I think, or maybe one before, we had that question from Reddit. What is your definition of a successful campaign? Mm-hmm. I've been thinking a lot about what is a success as an artist or as a creator in this field. What does that mean? What do I want? I think the reality that a lot of us maybe don't want to admit is how vanishingly few like full-time jobs exist as a creator in a TTRPG space, right? There are the few, staff writers for some of the big publishers, like if you can score that job, but then you probably worked your ass off making your own shit until you got noticed and have a portfolio you can submit. There's, we talk to people like Brooke, Roll20's social media manager. Like there are ways to make a career out of this space or being adjacent to it. But the vast majority of us, I think, this is our passion, right? Mm-hmm. We're not necessarily getting paid, certainly not livable wages to do this. And so what does success mean, right? And this, I can speak to my personal experience of like, the first year that we had the show, I was so excited about doing Whisper and doing the campaign. And then I started realizing those are the things that take the most time, that are also the most expensive components. And, looking at our back end, we're not necessarily more appealing to our audience than anything else. And I was like, okay, if I want this to keep going, like, what does my definition of success mean? Is it successful that I made 25 episodes of the campaign happen? Yes, honestly,
Yeah.
And now I'm at this point where I'm like, okay, will I ever make money? And the answer is probably not. Just, based on the fact that it's now been almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And we've blown up on TikTok a couple times, thanks to you.
Yeah.
We've had
Thank you.
some really amazing people, and some really amazing people with their own followers who are, in fact, like, telling their people, doing their announcements on social media, like, hey, listen to our interview. But I'm like, I am having fun. I love getting to talk to you. I usually love getting to talk to our guests, unless it's 25 of them within a 2-week span. That gets a little much.
And even then, you were having a lot of fun, as I recall.
Even then, the thing that happens for me is I'm like, God fucking damn it, I have to talk to another person. And as soon as I see them and we start talking, I'm like, oh, you're so great. I love you. This is so cool. I'm so lucky. And so I still am like, I think I'm so lucky and I want to keep doing the thing. But it is interesting to really think about what defines success for people in the tabletop community. And I think that is a question that we all of us that want to create in this space need to ask. Are you trying to have a job, a stable-ish, semi-stable living wage come from your involvement, from your writing, from your content creation, from your maybe getting paid for actual play if you're like that caliber? Does success mean just, I get to do this? I get to make a thing that I'm excited about and having fun, and or is success other people want me to help with their stuff too?
Yeah.
People ask me people ask me to be on an actual play. I love that. I'm successful. I don't need to make money. What does it mean?
I think the TTRPG space, you know that personally I've been thinking a lot about like my own past and how I think about success. And I was a gifted kid, humble brag. I was a kid that was trained to think of things as like win-lose, and where it didn't really matter like what process you went through to get there. What mattered was the results, and the result was either good or it was bad. It was either success or it was failure. And I think that one of the very special things about TTRPGs is that they are such a communal, process-based activity that it really draws your attention to what is the process? What is the journey I'm on? What am I getting out day to day? You're not thinking about the end of the campaign. You're thinking about the campaign. And the campaign is by its definition a big, long experience. It's a drawn out experience. And I find this show to be very similar for me as a creative project. I think the people that we have gotten to meet through doing this show are some of the kindest, most brilliant, creative people on the planet. And almost all of them are not doing TTRPGs as their main job. They are laboring somewhere else, and they are bringing that beautiful, brilliant internal self home and exploring it the way that they choose to with the people that they choose to include in that exploration. And I think that that's really special. I think that I view it as a success that like we have a show where you and I just talk and shoot the shit. I think that's lovely. I think it's wonderful. I love every show that we make together. And I think that this is very reflective of what the TTRPG experience is like laboring over something intensely out of deep passion and love for it that like 5 or 6 people are ever going to really see. Like the most intense like exciting storytelling I've ever done has been for an audience of like 3 or 4 people. and and even if I relay it to other people, you're never going to really feel
Yeah.
like what it was like to be
Yeah.
there. And I still think it's worth being there. I still think it's worth having that experience. And
Yeah.
that to me is success.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I think a different, but like another thought that's occurring to me as we're like thinking about the trends, and this is actually like, this is kind of related to the thing that I was potentially going to bring to
Yeah.
our discussion today, is an increase, as far as I can tell, in what I will call resistance games. We talked a little bit about this on one of our early info dumps with the release of Galactic and Going Rogue from Jess Levine and blanking on the other creator last year. And we're seeing more of that. I think not only in terms of people structuring their home games, their own campaigns to be more explicitly anti-fascist. Shh. Don't tell anyone, right? And also the release of games that are explicitly about challenging authority, overthrowing or exposing corruption, and like organizing, right? My housemate and I have talked a lot about how we want to make our union organizing games that we're forcing our beloved players to do into a mechanic and into a thing that like then shows people, oh, you play this RPG and you at least have an idea about how to compose, orchestrate, and do operational security for a protest, for a banner drop, for an act of resistance. And so I love that this is the trend. I think this is not necessarily new, but it does seem like there is a larger concentration, like more people are making those games right now. And our dear friend, Chris Hutton at TTRPG Insider, highlighted one that I was going to briefly mention and talk about for a little bit, because it is, for one, called Gallows Corner, which I think is just a great title. For two, this is a sort of historical fiction game. It is the latest project from Three Sales Studios, who are also known, among other things, as the makers of Mappa Mundi. It is an alternate historical system that tells the story of people in the mid to late 14th century pushing back against the powers of the day through collective action and political organization. And that is so cool. Chris published a very interesting interview with the creator, with the game designer George Francis Bickers. And like there's so many interesting things about this here, that it is like about this. It is sort of based on a real historical event, the Peasants' Revolt of 1381, and how at that time people like really focused their anger collectively and in solidarity with their neighbors rather than in competition or in conflict or in exclusion. And I think one of the things that I also really love is a quote from the designer that where is it? The short sales pitch. Do you want to play a Robin Hood TTRPG?
Yeah. I would love to.
Right? And
Yeah.
I am both so inspired and interested that many people are making these resistance games, and also this one in particular. While I'm on the topic, I will say that you can in fact find it on Kickstarter if you look for Three Sales Studios or Gallows Corner: A Peasant's Revolt. It has made its goal. It will be funded, and there are, as of our recording, 23 days left. So by the time this comes out, there's going to be less. But you're still going to have like a week or two that you could go back this game if you also would like to throw off your shackles and fight your fiefdom oppressors, feudal oppressors. That's the one.
There you go.
I get there eventually.
I think that's delightful. This is not the first Resistance game that I've heard come out in the last little bit. It's and also, you know, Resistance games have kind of been a part of the space for a while. I think about the fact that people joke all the time about how the enemy, the BBEG of every single one of Brennan Lee Mulligan's campaigns is capitalism.
Yeah.
And
That's about right.
I think about other games that I've been a part of that have this kind of underlying messaging. I think as the space has gotten more unapologetically queer, more unapologetically left leaning, it's been really interesting to see the growth of games as instructive on anti-fascist resistance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
On like, hey, you're already kind of part of a collective communal process in participating in a TTRPG.
Yeah.
So what if we just talked about, I don't know, hypothetically, how you might implement that with your neighbors and also like might utilize it to achieve different ends.
Yeah.
Less imaginary ends.
Right. Well, and I think, you know, this speaks to games as teaching tools, right? The history of games and humans is a long history of games that are designed, even if unintentionally so, to teach something, right? A lot of kids' games, skipping games, counting games are designed to teach you bodily and physical coordination, proprioception, your sense of your physical self in space, teach you counting, teach you another language, perhaps, as it might be. On some level, if we look at team sports, teach you socializing in a weirdly competitive way.
Yeah.
You know? And I think then, you know, as we get older, well, one, a lot of people stop playing games, generally speaking. I don't think that's a huge overgeneralization. Like people
No,
stop
I don't think so.
playing.
Or at least the games are no longer structured official games.
Yes.
Right? They're playing games, but they're not, nobody's calling them games.
Or they're, you know, or they turn at a certain point to computer and video games.
Games, sports.
I could probably make the argument,
sports.
but like, I'm not really sure what you're supposed to learn from playing Call of Duty with your friends and like sniping someone. I don't know if that's designed to teach you anything.
Now, unfortunately, Call of Duty specifically, I do know exactly what you're supposed to learn.
Well, lack of empathy. It's supposed to kill your empathy and make you more willing to take orders.
Whether or not it is explicitly designed to do this, it does implicitly prepare you to join the military.
Yeah, totally. But in our case, like in the case of tabletop games, like it is a continued education in collaboration, connecting with your fellow players and people, and as we are talking about, sometimes explicitly trying to teach you skills that are applicable outside of whatever shared collective fantasy we're constructing.
Yeah.
How to organize, how to do collective political actions, how to create mutual aid networks with your neighbors. And I love that. I think that's where I'm heading is like, I'm so excited that this is the one direction that I'm seeing from creators and new content in our space.
I think it's very true that like people learn through play, right? Kids learn through play and adults also learn through play. And I think it's really interesting. Like I kind of have a combination of thoughts. One is that we already know that like people who engage in TTRPGs are adults who are actively seeking play, imaginative play. And usually are adults who were kids who engaged in imaginative play far past the point where it was deemed socially acceptable, even by other kids. And I think that those people, generally speaking, are people who may also feel a huge weight of compassion. Can be very hard sometimes. To be very compassionate and kind person can be very hard when the world is very uncompassionate and cruel to the undeserving. When the world is unjust, it can be very, very difficult to be a kind person in it. And I think that my experience has been that the TTRPG community is full of people who are very kind and compassionate and imagine a better world constantly as a source of joy and fun. And those people are also the kind of people who long for a third space. Like there's so much that we trim back on socially as adults, especially in the US, where we really go from at least from the outside, sort of theoretically free childhood, where we are free to pursue routes of play consistently as a way of connecting with other people, to an adulthood that is almost entirely free of that, where part of adulthood is giving up play, is giving up and play being seen, any kind of play or like hobby being seen as childish. And
I think this is this weird false choice that is offered to us as we grow up by many adults in our spheres. And I'm glad you and I at least did not listen.
Yeah. Well, that breeds other problems, but
sure. Better problems.
I do think, and I was listening to Anna Kana is a YouTuber, and in the last few years has gotten really into like reading studies about socialization and like the way that people work and psychology, that sort of thing. And I remember her talking about a study that came out about how if you do not have a creative outlet as an adult, anxiety will become your creative outlet. Your brain,
that's insidious.
Your brain,
I don't like that.
Craves exploration, imaginative exploration, and creative, like getting to do things that are creative expressions of yourself so much. It's this thing that you need to do, and if you don't, your brain will find a way to work that muscle. And one of the most common ways that your brain will work that muscle is imagining ways that your life could potentially be much worse.
Looking for the worst case scenario constantly.
Right. It's like, let me be creative about just how bad this innocuous scenario could go, because I'm bored. And if you are able to excise that habit, if you're able to like engage in more creative hobbies, it can really help with the parts of your brain that are desperately atrophying as a result of you not having any creative expression in your life. And I think that can become a problem when you have emotional fatigue on such a massive scale. So I think that in combination with that, like TTRPG is obviously a great way to work out those creative muscles, but also incredible ways to form social connections, to play through scenarios, to process emotion, and also to like think through the mechanics of community. It makes perfect sense to me as to why like people would be really interested in exploring collective resistance to authoritarianism and fascism through that lens.
Yeah, certainly no relevance to our
right, certainly.
Oh my God. Hello, everyone, and welcome to your mid-roll. It is I, your host, Colin, here to thank you once again for listening. It is so nice and so important, and it feels so good that you are here with us. And also to remind you that if you never want to hear me say that again, if you just are excited about the show, if you love what we're doing, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/therollreport, where also, for as little as a single dollar a month, you can submit questions for our interview guests. Only our friends and supporters on Patreon can submit questions, and only they will get to hear the answers. We've got some really incredible guests coming up as usual, and if you want to hear their answers to your questions, head on over to Patreon. Also, you can follow us on social media. We are at The Roll Report Cast on Instagram and TikTok, and now on Blue Sky. Ooh. Follow us there for announcements about upcoming guests once they have been booked, and then you will find out if you have interesting and amazing and unusual questions for all of them. But thank you so much for listening. That's really all. We are so grateful you're here with us. and hope you are enjoying this episode. Back to the show. Yeah, So I think, all of this by way of saying, for me, last year was tough for the industry in a lot of ways. It's like obviously hugely fucking tough for the world at large.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remain optimistic about the future. I think we're seeing some of that, internally within the community in the form of the growing popularity of the games and of Resistance games, especially, and how much more of them are coming out. And also, in larger collective actions around the world. I'm going to try to hold on to my optimism for 2026. That's my goal.
Yeah. In my family, we don't necessarily come up with like resolutions. We come up with like a phrase that a mantra we're going to carry through the year.
Mm-hmm.
And my mantra for this year is keep the lights on. Mm-hmm. Whatever you have to do, keep the lights on.
Yeah.
In your heart, in your soul, in your house. Like you've got it. Whatever you have to do to make it through this very dark moment. And I think that bringing forward the creativity and joy and community that I experience through TTRPGs, using that to make myself less shy about connecting in real life with people over shared passion for causes for justice and a kinder world is kind of my goal, at least for the next year. Yeah. Probably forever, but
yeah. I mean, hey, if we can create the better worlds in our imagination, we should be able to create them in the real as well.
Yeah. Oh, Colin, that's nice. I like that a lot.
Every once in a while, I have a nice little turn of phrase there. Feel pretty proud of that one. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Hannah, you got something from Reddit for us today?
I do. Ooh, I'm so glad you
always
asked.
Excited. I am so excited.
I wanted to bring this to you, and I think you'll understand why when I'm done with. Honestly, I think you'll understand why about halfway through the story. But
okay,
yeah. So this is from RPG Horror Stories by user Totodile Jones. Great name. The title is How to Bring Up Concerns About a Terrible Session with the Group.
Oh.
Hi, y'all. I was complaining to my buddy about how my last session went, and they suggested posting what happened here. I want to go about it more so from a perspective of how do I handle this, since I feel like I've complained enough, and I want to be constructive with my next steps. I'll try to keep this vague, but I can clarify points if need be. I've been playing D&D with these people for about 2 years. Including myself, there's up to 8 people at the table. We're in between campaigns. We've done a couple one-shots while our main DM, who I'll call Lisa for simplicity's sake, got stuff together for the next campaign. Another dude, John, ran a one-shot or two, and then I ran one that I wrote. It was supposed to be a very simple, do this adventure and that's it sort of deal, but they wound up really liking it. So we've stuck with the characters and continued on. I felt honored. This is the first one-shot they've wanted to continue on with, and on my first time ever DMing, I felt really excited. The holidays, as always, threw a wrench in things. Added another player, Katie, having a surgery, and her husband, Brett, taking care of her. And it's been sessions sans 1 or 2 people for a hot minute. Wednesday was the first session with everyone back. Let me set the tone of this group. The host, Art, cooks food for everyone as we slowly trickle in. It's not super serious. We get sidetracked we get sidetracked a bunch. Side conversations happen. We dick around for a while, then settle in to play for 2 to 3 hours. Some of us have jokey characters. Some of us take it more seriously, but it's never really been a problem until last session. Admittedly, I've wound up locking in and putting a lot of effort into this. I've been doing a ton of research on the canon D&D towns we wind up in, gods, monsters, mechanics, looking at stat blocks, writing a couple different plot hooks, even making short musical cues in case XYZ route gets taken, etc. I've gotten really into it. I want this to be fun. I want people to enjoy it. I want to feel like I'm being thorough and doing a good job. I had what I thought was a cool plot, a couple fun NPCs, and a recognizable location for everything to take place in, as well as a lore reason for it to make sense as to why it's happening where it is. And last session was just about my worst DMing nightmare come to life. Everyone was talking over me and getting sidetracked. Listen, I get it. I'm not exactly Mr. Attention Span myself, but I could barely get through an alley without a side conversation springing up. I'd be polite. I'm a bit of a pushover. I'd wait for that conversation to reach its natural end and try to start again, only to immediately get interrupted again with someone trying to talk over me. This happened multiple times. Once or twice, John noticed and would say, "The DM is trying to talk," but it kept happening again and again. It got to a point where we were at the NPC's house, I think, and the group just casually devolved into several 20 to 30 minute long side conversations while I'm sat at the front, waiting for them to stop. I tried interjecting once or twice to get everyone back on track, but no one listened. You ever see that meme of the teacher sitting on the desk going, "I'll wait"? It felt like that. I was just sitting there waiting for everyone to remember they're supposed to at least pretend to give a shit about the campaign and for us to continue. And Lisa, the one who usually DMs for us, was the worst of all of them. She is, admittedly, a pessimistic, immature, negative, miserable person. Glowing review, I know, but she's one of those people I've slowly realized over time that I don't actually like. But she was in rare form last night. If she'd looked any more bored or over it, I could have mistaken her for being dead and checked her pulse. She kept just getting up and leaving the table to go outside to do God knows what, which was distracting as she sat right next to me. She kept rolling her eyes and huffing and asking, "Why do we care? We can just leave. Can we kill this NPC already?" Like she didn't want to engage with the plot at all, which is kind of the point of D&D. If you don't want to engage with the plot hooks and surroundings, you can always just leave. She tried to lock all of the NPCs in a secret room that's hidden behind a bookcase, kept going back to some gotcha game on her phone, just being an absolute fucking nightmare. I don't like being upset in front of people. I don't hide it well, but it felt like talking in a group of people and realizing no one's actually listening to you. So when that 20 to 30 minute long side conversation boogaloo happened, I shut down. I put my pencil down, looked down, and got on my phone. It was embarrassing how long it took everyone to realize I wasn't engaging. And then they sheepishly stopped talking and kept going, but I was already halfway checked out. I was a tinge short with everyone when it was time to go. It was mad awkward because I wanted to get out so that I could go be upset at home with no witnesses, but I'd been the first one there, so I had to tell the people I was upset with that I wanted to leave, but they were blocking my car in, and I just got in my car and waited for the car line conga to leave. The girl closest to Lisa, Sierra, noticed I was pissed off, and we talked about it a bit. Apparently, Lisa lost a close family friend and isn't taking it well, and that's why she looked so over it at the session. But I still feel some type of way about everything that went down. I feel like I wasted so much time for no one to give a shit. I made up what I thought was a cool-ass plot with some fun NPCs, the return of a PC everyone seemed to love, lore reasons plot stuff would make sense, musical cues for the BBEG attempting to communicate with the players, which, even with the use of a portable speaker, no one noticed because they talked over it, just for basically nothing. I feel super sour about it. I could have worked on schoolwork. I could have spent time with other friends, my mom, my dogs, but I chose to do this instead. I chose to develop all this stuff going on, an elaborate plot, just to basically get shit on by everyone. I mentioned Lisa in particular, but everyone was guilty of it. I'm starting to think of a nice way to ask if I should even bother, but A, I want cooler heads to prevail because I've known these guys a while and I've enjoyed their company, sans Lisa, outside of this. And B, I don't know a nicer way to phrase it.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I think first, DM, let me, on behalf of your players, fucking apologize for being rude as hell. Wow. I mean, see, this is a tough one, right? We say often our response to these situations is as you would tell someone with their partner. You either talk about it or you break up. But both of those are more complicated in this case.
Yes.
Okay. I acknowledge real life has an effect on your table, on your game table. Has to. We as much as any of us like to pretend that we can leave it at the door, we really can't. You lose a family member, you lose a close friend, you lose someone that's important to you and you're feeling all kinds of ways. I really think you have a small obligation, I don't like that word, but I think it might be true in this case, to let your table know, hey, I'm having a hard time. You don't even necessarily have to tell them what's going on if you don't want to be like, my mom died. Don't give me any sympathy or pity. Just shut the fuck up and let's play. But I think there's an obligation if you are feeling some kind of way that is going to affect your enjoyment of the game that you're about to play, letting your fellow table mates know that. 2, I think it is like, what I'm taking away from it, I was like, is it side conversations that are in character role play scenes? No, this is just people fucking talking.
They actually did quantify that it is side conversations about real life stuff. It is not. It is not
so
in game.
That's a different thing, because you know this. I think I, as a DM, I'm like, if you are having a conversation in character, you can have as long as you want. You can just keep talking until you are done, or until I'm literally like, okay, I do have a thing, and so I'm going to need to cut this off here. But to just kind of like randomly start talking about other shit seems really rude. And like, my question becomes, why are you, players, having these conversations? Why did you come to game night? If you want to hang out with all of the people that you play with, find a time to hang out, or be like, presumably there's a group chat, there's something, email everyone, whatever. Be like, hey, I'm really not feeling playing, but I love you guys and I just want to hang out. Can we just hang out tonight instead of like maybe take a week off, but we're all still going to get together? Again, this is like, you gotta communicate. And I'm torn, because there's a part of me that's really going like, hey, DM, break up with this table. Not necessarily with your friends if you like them, except Lisa. Like, I guess fuck Lisa, because you seem to really not like Lisa. But like, this, like, if this is happening, if this is a consistent pattern, and it sounded like this is a bit of a pattern, although it was like very, very bad this most recent time, something is not clicking. And it, I think, would behoove everyone in this situation to address elephants in the room. I would agree with the end of that statement of like, let's do it with a cooler head, but like, maybe don't prep anything for the next session and use the next session when everyone's going to be there to have an honest conversation, hopefully a non-confrontational, but like honest confrontation about people's interest and commitment level in continuing the campaign. Because like, it's, you know, this is one of those things, and like, someone would post this in Am I the Asshole? And literally every response is like, are you fucking kidding me? No, those other people. And so, yeah, I'm trying to approach things with curiosity instead of anger at times. And I'm really curious, like, on what level was that behavior okay for those players? Like, why, what is their story that they're saying as to why they came into the game with that attitude, side conversed most of the time, and thought this was an acceptable tabletop etiquette?
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about everything that happened here, because I agree with you on pretty much every point. But the reason I brought this story to you is because I see a lot of myself in this DM. I am also a DM that way over plans. I do way too much. I get really excited and really passionate. And I can also be really hurt by other people not engaging with that in the way that I had hoped that they would. Yeah. And when I am hurt, I often do experience, like, I think I am much more upfront than this DM. I think I've had a lot more experience. And so I'm usually pretty good about being like, hey, stop doing that. I don't like it. If previous messages of like, hey, focus, we are trying to be here. If those messages have not worked, bringing up the fact that it is actively hurting my feelings in the moment, I'm usually pretty good about. But I have experienced at the table exactly this feeling. I don't like to be upset in front of other people. I'm very upset. I feel like maybe I'm being a little oversensitive because what they're doing is not malicious, is not designed to hurt me. I think that there are a few details in this story that, to me, I'm like, this is kind of what I would expect. You haven't been together in a really long time. There's 8 of you. You all have really
Honestly,
active lives.
The 8 of you is fucking insane. Like, I could also have started there that, like, I don't want more
That's
than
a
5
huge
players at
table.
my
That's a
table.
huge
6
table.
sucks. Yeah.
It sucks. And you guys haven't seen each other, and there's been a lot going on. And really, like, you needed more of a concrete time of, I in my games have a concrete social hour where it's
Yeah.
like, we're gonna
Yeah.
want to just get together and talk. We haven't gotten together because it's 8 people. When else are you going to all get together? It's gonna be game night. So of course you want to socialize and talk about everything that's happened. And a lot has happened because you haven't seen each other for the entire month of December. So I could have told you it's probably going to be a lot of socializing at this session. You probably want to strategize around that.
Yeah.
And also, you might have something like this go on, right?
Yeah.
If you want people to be really engaged with the story and that's going to really hurt you, you might want to be upfront about that. But I've also been in this situation where I shut down, I'm angry, I just want to go home and be upset by myself. And when I'm at home being upset by myself, instead of strategizing realistically about the issue and being like, okay, I need to kind of revisit that with my friends and be like, hey, that bothered me. I want to talk about like ongoing interest for the campaign. I want to represent how much work I'm actually doing behind the scenes. And I want to check in about, socialization at the table and strategize around that. But you're not in a headspace to do that because you're at home and you're like, I guess it was just a complete waste of my time to make something cool, and none of my friends really like me.
Appreciate it.
And I guess, I think it's really easy to get into a headspace of no one likes me, everybody hates me, guess I'll go eat worms when your feelings are hurt this way.
I do think there's one thing that, well, actually, let me phrase this as a question more. What I heard you say is that you have feelings when people don't engage with an NPC or plot the way you want. And what I think I want to ask is if you have a problem with totally disconnected side conversations.
Yes.
Because I do. And I think what I would say is, I guess, just I feel like I would react differently to those. For example, in our recent game, when the entire party walked past the poor protester being kicked by police on the ground, I would say you behaved exactly as I expected. Yeah. But I was like, surely they're gonna like try to de-escalate this with words, right? No, everybody walks away, except for our invisible mad cleric that stabs them instead
to death, and then hides their bodies with stone shape, obviously.
Exactly. So I think for me, just like, people not engaging with a story beat or a plot point the way I expect or predict or even maybe want them to feels like a very different, I might have a slight hurt about that, but it's also going to go quickly because we're right on to the next thing really fast. Yes. People actively not participating in the game by having these conversations, I would like, I'm just imagining that, like, that feels horrible.
Lack of engagement hurts more than engagement in a shape you did not expect.
Yes.
That is true of pretty much any public-facing art. I think of DMing as performance. And when I am DMing, like I was actually talking to Sydney about this, is there are some campaigns, like you give me like, you're like, hey, me and my friends want to do something for my birthday. Can you run a one shot? I'm like, sure. You're in a museum. You're fighting evil Indiana Jones. Easy peasy.
It was great.
It was great. I don't
8 plus 10 out of 10. No notes.
Right. I'm not coming to this like it's my magnum opus. I really care about like how you engage with it. But with campaigns where I have invested a similar amount of effort, where I have built the world and like I like anything I've homebrewed, like really homebrewed. Invested a lot of time. I have an entire binder for my homebrew world and more besides. And to present that to a disaffected audience is very hurtful for me. It's very hard for my ego to take because that's art you've invested time in. And I think I see this as like, I think every DM has moments like this, especially when they are first DMing, where they're like, I worked so hard on this and people are not, and you guys are just not paying attention. But I do think that is a useful conversation to have, to normalize that this is an experience that people have. Sometimes you're gonna make stuff and you're gonna bring it to the table on the wrong night. You're gonna bring it to the table and not intending anything malicious. They're gonna not have seen each other for 6 weeks and they're gonna want to talk and not really interface with the game. And
totally,
you either have to be prepared in that space to be like, my ego is not hurt by this. I know the situation, whatever. Yeah. Or to be like, you guys, this matters a lot to me. I am very invested and I am looking for a similar amount of engagement and investment from you. If now is not the time for that, we need to make that call now so that I can run this a different time. Because
and today can be social hour.
Today can be social hour. Because I do not think that this was maliciously done. I think even Lisa, who you don't like, I don't think it sounds like it was not maliciously done. It actually sounds like a lot of people showed up after, at least Sierra showed up afterwards to be like, hey, that wasn't, we weren't trying to make you have that experience. Sorry. But nobody's actually explicitly saying, hey, you seemed really upset. Sorry. And part of that is that when you shut down and you get just a little snippy, but you don't say, hey, that really hurt my feelings and bothered me because it feels too vulnerable, because you don't like being upset in front of people for whatever reason. There's lots of reasons to not want to be upset in front of people. Yeah, it does not afford people the opportunity to apologize to you.
Yeah. If we offer advice and we sometimes can't help ourselves. I think I would advocate for this DM next game night coming fully prepared to address it, which does return me to a thing that I was also thinking about of the mantra of the year, and I just don't think it will ever stop being managed expectations. Ever. Now that I've latched onto that, I think that's the one. Because in this case, our DM, our delightful DM, honestly, I love that you put that much care and work into your game. That is so cool. I love when my DMs do that for me and I feel it and I see it. You maybe could have managed both your own and your players' expectations differently. I don't necessarily even want to say better, but just differently, or managed at all if it was not a thing. And your players absolutely owe you an apology. But when it comes to what are we going to do next? How do we move forward? I think this is where manage your own and their expectations. Before the next game night, send a thing to the group text, send an email and say, hey, I had a lot of feelings after last time. I really want to make sure that we take a little bit of time next session to talk about that and moving forward. And is that okay with everyone? Is anyone really not in a headspace for this? But try to approach, and again, as much as we can, approach from curiosity. Hey, players, that was a lot for me. I know we hadn't seen each other in a while, and I want to acknowledge that, but what was going on? Did you really not like the thing I brought? Were we all just so excited to see each other after 6 weeks off? What was happening?
Yeah.
Players fucking apologize for being assholes, and then engage with good faith and honesty. Maybe someone is actually, no, man, I thought that hook was fucking stupid and I'm sorry. I should have engaged anyway because we're playing together, but I didn't know how to say it. Someone's probably gonna be like, ah, shit, man, I hadn't seen Lisa in weeks, and I know that she's had stuff going on, and we just I needed to have that moment and connect. All of this is fine, but I think at this point, everybody involved needs to have this conversation in a non-acrimonious way and really assume that everyone there is operating under good faith.
Yeah. I have a first grader who I work with, and he will often come to me when he's playing group games with his friends and be like, they're targeting me, they're mad at me. These games are often things like tag, where, targeting you is the point of the game. And every single time before I will address his problem, and I've started doing this with myself, I'm like, okay, I will address your problem, but before we do that, you have to say, I am a good friend and my friends like me. And you have to say that 3 times before we're going to go deal with the problem. I'm a good friend and my friends like me. And you would not be playing with these people if they did not like you, if you were not good friends. And they've already clearly expressed that they are interested in this.
Except for Lisa, apparently.
Except for Lisa, apparently. But she did agree to play your game, right?
Yeah,
like
that's
she,
true.
She did.
Like,
she did
whatever your feelings are personally, she agreed to come play the game.
She showed up to play the game. And is she being a very poor sport right now? Yes. I also wonder if she's not also dealing with some jealousy. It sounds like she has been running the games for a while, and I wonder if she has some feelings that she has not talked to you about. Yeah. I have learned from the comments that she is not particularly good at addressing these things. I think from what is reported, OP has a completely valid sense that she will not receive, hey, you hurt my feelings. Well,
okay.
And that may be further down the line, it may be time to ditch Lisa, just as part of the group. But where you're at right now, the idea of having a group discussion, I completely agree. I do think if the group discussion off rip is intimidating, I think one thing that you could do is pick a few people that you would feel comfortable going to who could be supportive in that group discussion. This is actually usually how I solve problems of this variety. And I have had many. I want to be clear. I have had lots of opportunities to be like, wow, I didn't really like that. That made me really unhappy, and not necessarily immediately feeling empowered to go to the person that I need to talk to most about it in the group, or even to talk to the group at large, because it feels too high stakes.
Right.
So going to people
start with the one or two people that
start
you
with
feel
people that you know will be sympathetic, where you're like, I know that if I go to Colin, and I tell them what happened, they're going to say, oh, that sucks. I'm so sorry. What do you want to do about that situation? How do we redress it? Go to somebody that you know is going to have that reaction. And then you have somebody in your corner when you're having that big group discussion. Because I think that the group discussion off rip, especially with such a big group, can feel really anxiety inducing, especially if you are already struggling to be vulnerable with these people when you're upset. So that's kind of where I would come at from it. And also, I think a little grace, an assumption that if your friends are fucking up around you, they're probably not doing it because they hate you. We came back and started playing my campaign with my regular group after we had not played since September. And it's a murder mystery. And there's a lot that they knew before we stopped playing.
And of course now everyone's like, who was that? What was the thing? What did I find?
And I basically realized it at the table. I'm like, I'm going to have to do a recap. And I started the recap and I was like, this recap is not going to be short. I think I did an hour recap. I think it took almost 45 minutes for us to go through everything that they knew. And I could definitely see at least a few of my very best friends in the world, just eyes glazing over. Just like, it's just too much. Well, but as soon as we got into it, they got back into it. And I was like, we're good. But I know them. And I know that's not coming from a place of like, I don't care, Hannah, shut up. I know it's coming from a place of, this is a lot of information.
There's so much, and it's coming all right at me right now. Yeah.
So just maybe do what I make Cameron do before you have this conversation is look yourself in the eye in the mirror and be like, I am a good friend and my friends like me.
It's true.
It doesn't have to be true about all of them. There can be one of them where that is not how they feel. But at least most of your friends, you are a good friend and your friends like you.
And I would say you're a good DM. If you're putting that much effort in, even if your storytelling is not amazing yet, if you're putting that much in and doing the work, it will continue to get better over time. You are a good DM and a good friend.
Yes. Some of the comments that I've seen on this post have been very discouraging to me because a few of them are like, well, you shouldn't have put that much effort in to begin with. And I'm like, what a mean thing to say to somebody who's... Gosh. Well, and also that it's like, I think it's all well and good to tell young DMs, hey, prep less. You probably don't need as much as you think, like going in, but certainly I think that if people want to create and are excited to create, you should let them do that.
Yeah.
I do think that. And I think also what you should do is you should also prepare them to actually go to people and say, hey, I'm putting a huge amount of effort into this. Because there's I think there's such a culture in DMing that's about making it invisible, making the work invisible. And it's not.
Even when you're playing at a table full of other people that DMs. Yeah.
Right.
In this moment, I'm really wondering, right? So D&D in a Castle has started their DM Academy, whatever thing that exists. This is a thing. I get their promotional emails now for some reason. And I'm really curious, right? Are they talking about this kind of stuff? When you go to D&D in a Castle's DM Academy, are they just giving you like a toolbox for how to whip up a new character NPC voice on the fly, create a dwarven name when you have to have a fucking shopkeeper or whatever? Are they doing that? And or are they also being like, this is how you can navigate interpersonal conflict at your table when it arises for one of X, Y, or Z reasons? I would hope they're teaching that. Oh, yes, it will.
Yeah. I think so much of DMing is figuring out how you're going to have compassionately hard conversations with your friends about playing pretend together. And I don't know that there's necessarily a robust culture of walking people through that.
Wow. We could start our own DM Academy that includes communication skills.
I think we have. I consider this podcast basically that. Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, damn. Damn.
That sucks. I'm so sorry that happened. I think you should talk to your friends.
I think you should talk to your friends. I think you should absolutely not fucking stop DMing and or stop prepping less.
No.
I think that is the wrong takeaway here.
I don't think the approach is to go into the group chat and be like, does anybody even care? Don't do that.
No,
I have actually seen a few people do that. I have been tempted to do it before. And I do think that just even the phrasing implies an amount of mistreatment from your friends that is deliberate, right?
Yeah.
It assumes disinterest.
It assumes bad faith.
It assumes
rather than
bad
assuming
faith.
good faith. And,
right.
I mean, that's a good way to start an antagonistic conversation if you're trying to.
Yeah, I agree.
But if you're trying to like really get everyone back on the same page, like curiosity and good faith, and assume other people have those as well, I think.
This one was recent enough that I actually think I personally might comment some of this on it just to see if we can impart that advice to them, because it does sound like they are somebody I want this person to keep DMing for a long time.
I want them to keep DMing too.
Yeah.
I would say I'm not going to tell anyone, I'm not going to should on anyone in the DM space. I don't think that's really my job. I don't prep that much.
Yeah.
But I think what I see is a lot of people that derive a lot of enjoyment out of creating maps, finding a sound score and like specific sound cues for the BBG. All of this is stuff I love conceptually. I personally, in my DM prep, don't want to do it, but that's the choice that I've made.
It's so interesting to listen to other people's creative processes around this work, right? Because it's so interesting to be like, oh, that's what you like doing. That's so interesting. I've never done that in my life, but I support you.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to hear like people spend all of this time on parts of like DMing that I've never even thought about. And I think that's what keeps the hobby electrifying and fun and robust, is that there are people who are spending all of this time manufacturing parts of the game that I will never touch, but they love it. And I'm so glad that they love it.
The thing that I do sort of want is a DM who is the kind of, I'm going to say, wonderful weirdo that wants to paint minis and terrain all goddamn day. And has a full physical set for every fucking battle all the time. I would love to play with one of those people. I've never have. I did. I'm so excited. Okay. Quick announcement. I have not been paid for this at all. I have no stake in this game, but I am very excited that I just got my new set of Dwarven Forge dungeon tiles. I did back their expanded Kickstarter last year. They just showed up, and my teens will get to be the first people playing on them on Monday.
That's fun.
I'm so excited to have this. I just have a basic reconfigurable dungeon set. I'm very excited.
That's so delightful.
Yeah. Anywho.
Meanwhile, like I'm the kind of DM who like makes textbooks written in the style of actual textbooks about my
Yes.
homebrew setting. Yeah.
Yes.
That's where I find the fun. You know what I mean?
I like the skeleton that I slowly fill in over time as my players help build the lore up.
Yeah.
That's fun for me. But yeah, I think I spend most of my prep in the storytelling, in like which NPCs do I need to bring back? What plot threads do I have dangling from earlier that I could work in here? Like, yeah, I think I do so much more prep in the realm of the storytelling than in the I was gonna say fripperies, and I'm like, it's not. It's just like the extras, the bits that continue to add to someone's version of this experience.
Yeah,
but not ones that I like.
It's just not my version of the experience, and I think
Yeah.
that's wonderful. I think the fact that like the joy that I take in the game is like so specifically like the storytelling, collaborative storytelling element of it. I think that's wonderful. And I also think that the fact that other people are having a totally different experience at totally different tables is also wonderful. I think it's a very that's what keeps the environment healthy, right?
Yes.
Is that there's a lot of us doing a lot of different stuff.
Diversity saves, as they say.
Yeah.
Well, I have come to us with a not totally dissimilar situation, I believe.
Okay.
So in fact, we might even have already addressed many of the things, but I'm like interested to hear your take on this.
Yeah.
So this comes to us from r/DM Academy, user Sensitive Fruit 1205. I would love to know how your fruit became so sensitive.
I'm a sensitive fruit, so we're just born that way.
Our title, this DM is in fact seeking advice. Our title is Players Refuse to Cooperate. Context: I am co-DMing a homebrew campaign with 7-ish, but that's another issue, players. It's a fairly standard plot: find items, combine them into a super powerful item, save the world. Our sessions usually start around 8 to 10 p.m., depending on schedules, and go for about 4 hours. Now, the problem. As a side note, I'm interested that the problem was not we're starting at 10 p.m. and playing for 4 hours, because that seems like a problem to me.
Sorry, so you're going until 2 a.m. in the morning?
Apparently they are. Although when they start at 8 p.m., they're only going to midnight.
I hate that for you and everybody that you love.
I guess I'm glad you still are making it work, but like, Jesus, that's a lot. The problem. My players just refuse to help each other. I'm fully understanding that we're early in the campaign and they might not have made any super strong bonds yet, but during combat, I literally had a player say, "Why would I heal him? Not like we're friends." Now, I'm all for a tenuous dynamic in the party. I even thought up some good storytelling for it, but it's tiring when near the end of the session after a couple of players go to sleep. Other ones just stay up doing extra roleplay, bad-mouthing other characters, or making in-character plans that affect the entire party, with the majority of them not even there. When I tried to suggest they wait until everyone's present, they said, "No, absolutely not. They don't need to know about this," as if it's not concerning them equally as much. Am I overreacting about this? I was thinking maybe I should put my foot down and ban roleplay after the session ends, but I don't want to seem bossy. Not sure what to do here. There is an edit. This is a month old, but I think I pulled it the last time we tried to schedule this, and I was like, I can't do it. And so they have an edit and they have received some advice. But Hannah, what advice would you offer to this DM in this situation?
Holy shit. A few things.
Yeah.
One, have these people played D&D before?
Unclear.
Okay.
I'm going to look. I believe at least a few of them have.
Okay.
This is the poster's first time DMing D&D specifically. I do love a comment is, before this, I was a long time and avid GM of My Little Pony RPG.
Fascinating.
And context, everyone is friends already.
Fascinating. Okay. A few things. One, this is one of the reasons why I hate beginning a campaign where nobody knows each other. I hate that. I think it is a fundamental flaw in the way that D&D is commonly run, is that you are commonly dealing with characters who have absolutely no relationship before that. The other thing is I've dealt with this problem, at least on some scale. In my current the current homebrew campaign that I have running, I actually had 2 players come to me because it was a situation where their characters did not have a relationship before the start of the story of the campaign, and they came to me, both of them separately, and were like, "I don't think our characters are ever going to get along," and I was like, oh shit, I know that it's vital, actually, that these characters all become friends and get along. Well, we're 3 years in, and they very much do. They are actually, they are an incredible, like, Sherlock Holmes and Watson duo.
Cool.
Every time I give them a mystery, it's the 2 of them forging on ahead,
Love
like,
that.
without anybody. It's
so
great. They are inseparable. They are very good friends in canon, which is, of course, that's the goal, right? The thing is, I do think that one thing that helped me was a little bit of metagaming. The one thing that I did explicitly, both with the group and with both of those players separately, was I said, you are going to be friends. The plot of the campaign is that you are friends and allies who can rely on each other, and you are going to do that. Do you understand? And they said, yes, DM, we do. And I'm like, cool. That's the premise of the campaign, and you're going to find a way to make sure that happens, right? And they said, mm-hmm. And I said, and also you're going to trust me to make sure that happens. And I said, mm-hmm. And I said, cool. So the other thing that I did in my campaign, one of the things we did was like camp games. I did actual icebreaker games with them in Canada. It was great.
I love
it's
that.
really,
That's so
it's.
cool.
I actually highly recommend it if you have a campaign that has any amount of exploration in it, where like people are traveling. They did 2 Truths, 1 Lie with each other. They did Never Had I Ever. We did a bunch of like icebreaker games with them, both to build out the characters that they were playing and to allow them these moments of like downtime. We got to know each other. We're becoming cordial. This is a more urgent problem. What you have here. This is a much more urgent problem. And I would explicitly ask your players if they want to play a campaign where they are enemies. Because you can build that.
Yeah.
You can build that.
That can be a thing.
Otherwise, they need to knock it off. And you can be very clear with them about that and be like, I am no longer going to allow this. I am no longer going to allow you to talk badly about other characters unless you can promise me you are building towards friendship. But I am not going to permit either you need to find a reason for your character to care about these other characters, or you need to make a new one who will. Because we are playing D&D. It is a collaborative improv game.
It
and
doesn't
you are not
work if you're not playing nicely together.
What?
On some
Where's
level.
the yes and? This is just a no, period. What's happening?
Yeah. I look at this and I'm also like, I think honestly, there's a compounding of problems here, starting with 7+ players, even if not all of them show up all the time, which seems kind of implied in here. Starting with that, the other thing is playing from 8 to 10 p.m. and then explicitly going near the end of sessions after players go to sleep.
Fucked.
Right?
Why?
Like, so that was another thing that when I read this initially, I was like, hold the phone here. What, like, again, I'm missing a little bit of context and I want to know, like, do your players, like, are you all on Zoom and you just watch them slowly tip off the camera? This happened. We, for most of COVID, for most of like 2020 to 2023, as I was DMing for friends, I had, by the time we could all be in person together, 3 of us in person, 1 person on Zoom, because she was, bless her heart, coming to us from the East Coast, from South America, from Texas, like always at least 2+ hours off of our time zone. And we start at like 6:30, 7 o'clock California. That means it's like 10 o'clock for her on the East Coast. And we just see, like, she'd start out like sitting up with a cup of tea and kind of pretty peppy, and then just slowly start leaning a little bit. And then by like the end of the session, you're just like, you can barely see the corner of her face as she has gone to full horizontal position. We're like, it is time to go.
I think we've all played D&D on Zoom with somebody who should not have been awake. I think we've all done that.
And in this case, I'm like,
I've played
Are
through
these
the night
people
also.
on Zoom going to sleep? Are they in person, like passing out on the couch in the room with you? Like what?
I think the logistics of this are crazy. Like just on a basic level, right? I think the energy from the players is wild. But I also think like just like the straight out and out logistics of this campaign, where it's 7+ players, some of whom just don't show sometimes, and
you play for 4 hours, like into the wee hours of the morning.
Into the wee hours of the morning.
I applaud your commitment, and it sounds horrible.
Sorry, speaking of things that sound horrible, hi, Gatsby's here.
Is Gatsby okay?
Gatsby is vocalizing very loudly. I hope my mic is not.
I can't hear it. So Gatsby, got to up your volume, buddy. Project from your diaphragm.
Trust me, on my end, it is very loud. But yeah, I think that if I think about my dearest friends in the world and times when it would not be ideal to hang out with them. If you say 10 to 2 a.m., most of them, like they have to be awake and we're all doing something. I don't think we're going to be at our best during that time.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to.
I don't think the socialization between us is going to be amazing in quality. Oh, this is crazy. Oh, this is wild. You have so many problems here. But I don't think saying, hey, the role play can't happen. I don't necessarily know that that's the solution. I think the solution is an explicit conversation where you're like, hey, get it together. Like every once in a while, you have to do this as a GM. Every once in a while, you have to do it as a teacher, where you just sit everybody involved in the process down and you say, hey, get it together. This is crazy.
Yeah.
You have to understand that this is impacting the game in a hugely negative way. You must.
This was a lot of the feedback this DM got, a lot of it, and one in fact I want to quote this because I think it was really the DM functions as the adjudicator and does ultimately have the final word. Doesn't mean I advocate for ignoring your players or railroading, but here the DM has attempted to anyway. I like that. Like, as a DM, this question at the end of it, like, am I overreacting? No, you're not overreacting. No. This is a bad situation.
This is bad.
But there's a middle ground between the putting your foot down and banning role play after the session ends, and as we advocate all the time, having a conversation with people to be like, what can we do here? And I actually think adopting your approach of like, hey, D&D is based on the premise that you will all become friends eventually, right? They specifically call out the My Little Pony RPG where everyone is friends. That is the point from the beginning.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily going to have that in D&D, but you do have the ability as a DM, exactly as you said, to say, hey, players, this game is predicated on your characters being friends eventually.
Yes.
Unless we all agree and we want to have an antagonistic campaign. And there I'm like, honestly, I'm looking at this and you could split it into 2 groups and have them be at cross purposes, working against each other if you think as a DM you can handle that amount of shit and then eventually bring it back together. And if it would be fun for you
as a DM, then do that. But I think, like, not only an explicit conversation, but also, I think DMs are encouraged so strongly by the online community to always yes and. I cannot emphasize enough what an incredible tool. It always blows my mind when DMs do not do this. You as a DM can just say no. You know that, right?
Yeah.
A player can say, I'm going to do this. And you can say, no, you don't do that. I don't recommend doing it all the time, but I do recommend doing it at times where you're like, that will permanently fuck up this situation, especially player and player. Like, I have had situations, and it actually was this going back to my own game early on. These 2 players would often engage in stuff with each other that was explicitly antagonistic. And I allowed it like once or twice when it was small and it was early. But after a certain point, every time it would happen, I'd say, no, you don't. You don't do that, because that would make this other person really upset. And also it would have no benefit to you, to the group, to the situation. Like, there's no reason for me to allow you to do this.
You are
does
playing
not
your
support our
character
goals.
well, maybe. You are playing this character and maybe they might do this, but also no.
Yeah.
You
Play
don't
a
actually have a
character who can be
reason to.
part of a team or bring me a new character. I think sometimes you have to be a lot more straightforward with your players about stuff like this, because I do think, especially as somebody who plays characters that I'm very attached to, who like have very strong personalities, I definitely have. That's what my character would do. Like every once in a while, when I make a choice that makes other people upset. You can say, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. And it's because it would make the game worse for everybody else here. When we talk about the DM being an adjudicator, this is something that the DM has the power to do, is to be like, hey, I want you to think about how this choice is going to affect everybody else at the table, because these people are your friends. And we're playing a game. We got
another 2 years of campaign to get through.
Yeah. I need you to think about, is this fun for everybody, or is it just fun for you right now? Will you want to deal with the consequences of having done this? Because what happens is now we're building out of character resentment between characters. Like if I'm in combat and I'm like low and one of my teammates has the power to heal me and they say, why would I heal them? We're not even friends. I'm taking that a little personally, surely. Kind of a dick move.
I mean, almost brings us back to that person who was healing all their enemies all the time.
I wouldn't even take that personally the same way. Like, he heals me.
Yes.
Also.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Heal the fucking skeleton. I don't care, but heal me first.
Right.
Yeah.
He heals me too. I have more compassion for that guy than I do for whoever this person is. And I think that there's just you have to bring a team player to the a team player to the table. Like, this is a team game. Unless you have explicitly established that it's not. I think about like the campaign that we play together. Even in that campaign, we are a team, and we're playing some of the most antisocial, unhelpful assholes that we could come up with.
Honestly, have kind of antagonistic relationships and reason to dislike each other. And yet you are all still like, you're all inside the tent pushing out in slightly different directions, but we're all inside.
We're all in the tent. And we all agreed to this beforehand. Yeah. I think if you have a group where this was not the explicit intention, it doesn't sound like it was, you have got to level with them and be like, be different. Be different. Change.
I will say, I think somewhat happily, the edit from our original poster, from our sensitive fruit, is that they got helpful feedback, and really their session 0 was not as thorough or as explicit as they thought or as they meant. And what they have said is, now that I've gotten an idea of what I appreciate and do not appreciate, I'm going to have a talk with my players to sort it out. So how that talk went, we don't know. Maybe maybe I'll look. Honestly, now I'm going to take just a really fast look and see if Sensitive Fruit has updated us in any way. No, that is their only post. So
I hope it went well.
I hope it went well, Sensitive Fruit.
I can say that for my own table, explicitly talking to both of these players and doing things in session to breed camaraderie between them, doing campfire icebreaker games, putting them in situations where they needed to trust and rely on each other, allowing them to like appreciate and see one another's skills and background, giving them the opportunity to like be there for each other in tough moments. And also explicitly above table, like metagaming to be like, you will be friends. And I will make sure that it happens, but you also have to make sure that it happens. It has resulted very well. Like they play very well together. The characters are really good friends. It all worked out. So I think sometimes that's all you really need to do.
Yeah, as always, communicate or break up.
And stop playing from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. What's wrong with you?
Honestly, if everyone's schedule will allow, I really think that'll make a difference.
Go to bed.
Go to bed. Oh, man.
Oh my gosh.
On the going to bed note, God, that sounds nice. I did not sleep super well last night. I was worried about the class that I taught earlier today, and I'm not going to get a ton of sleep tonight because I got to get up early and record an interview tomorrow that,
You do?
you know, because it's going to come out before this, I'm just going to say you hopefully have already heard our cool interview with Jess the Human about fundraising through RPGs and many other things, but I'm getting up hella early to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be great.
I'm getting up hella early because my unwise DMing decision has been to run D&D from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Sundays, every Sunday. And every person above 35 that I tell that information is like, you get up at 10? And I'm like, I don't get up at 10. I get up an hour earlier so that we can run the camp, because otherwise I'm not dressed and ready.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's not that bad.
I think I agree. I agree.
Okay.
I have now, I will say, because just to get my complaining in, I will say, every once in a while, our group we run it digitally, and many of the people in it are several hours ahead of me. Every once in a while, somebody's like, can we do it 3 hours earlier? And I'm like, fuck you.
You're like, no. You can move to the West Coast and ask me that question again.
I have woken up at 8 on a Sunday and gone straight into the Zoom call. I've done it.
Well, when you're not DMing, that's not too bad. Like, I wouldn't mind being
when
like,
yeah,
I just got, I'm paying attention. I'm going to make my breakfast and do my thing and like participate in the game. But God, that's a lot.
Yeah, but
you're
also
so brave.
Maybe just move to California. Then no time difference.
Yeah.
Then if you say, let's run it 3 hours earlier, I say, you want to get up at 7 a.m. on a Sunday. And they're like, no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, neither did I. And I did it for you. So.
And I did it for you. So
who wins?
Let's have the game 3 hours later one day. How about that?
How about
Start
that?
at 1 p.m. my time.
What if? An afternoon game.
Delightful.
Please.
Yeah. I was part of a game for a long time with people. There was, I think, one other West Coast person, several East Coast, and 2 in Europe. And so the only time that we played from 12:30 to 3:30 Pacific on Sunday, because that was like late afternoon, early evening for East Coast. And that was like after the kids had been put to bed nighttime in Italy. And I was like, okay.
Crazy.
It was wild. I'm amazed we kept it going as long as we did. It was great.
We are all so resourceful, aren't we? In this community, aren't we all just so?
And committed
if somebody at work was like, "Can you do a thing from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.? I'll pay you money." Not on God's green earth would I ever agree to do that. How much money?
I've got a price point. I've even got a price point for
it's not reasonable.
Early mornings. Look, if someone was like, if you work from 5 to 9 a.m. every day for every weekday for the next whatever, and I will pay you. God, that's so early. Let me think. What's my price point for a 5 to 9 a.m. work day?
For a 5 to 9? All you have to know is that people do it for a lot less.
People do. I think for me, I'm going to need a cool, like, bare minimum $100 an hour.
Yeah, easy.
But
easy. I know people who do that work for a lot less.
Yeah.
And they are champs, all of them. And they all deserve to be paid at least $100 an hour.
I really like this theory, so I'm gonna try to get this theory out in the world. You should not be paid an hourly rate lower than your age. You just shouldn't.
I like that.
I do too.
I like that.
Trying to spread it around a little bit more. So
I've been working on that myself.
Yeah. Rollers, if you make it to the end of the episode, go make sure that you're getting paid an hourly rate that is a minimum your age.
Yeah.
And if it is not, see if you can fight for it.
And 7-year-olds, stop listening to this.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. No one's going to pay you $7 an hour for anything. Maybe cutting a lawn. I don't know. Is that still a thing? Do kids still cut people's lawns?
Yeah.
All right.
You know why you don't know that?
I don't work with kids anymore.
No, that's not why. It's because you don't have a lawn.
That's also true. We very consciously made the decision to not have a lawn.
Yeah.
Anyway, Hannah, I love you. You're great. Where can people find you so they can also see how great you are?
And people can still find me on TikTok, actually. I am at Booger Queen Draws everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Tumblr. I'm most active on the first and the last. I am doing all kinds of art at the moment. Many of them horny little drawings of my D&D barbarian. So if you're interested in that, or I'm also my commissions are open at the moment, so you can always find me everywhere at Booker Queen Tries. Colin, where can people find you?
You can't. You can find, I mean, you probably can if you look really hard, but what you can find my cats at No Good Cats on Instagram, and leave a little memorial tribute to Fast if you would like. But you can follow the show because we would like that, and you'll get to see all sorts of stuff from us if you do. We are at the Roll Report Cast on Blue Sky and TikTok, and we still maintain some sort of Instagram, but we'll see how that goes as the year goes on.
Also, I would be remiss if I did not note that it is Black History Month, and we are having a whole bunch of Black guests, both this month, last month, and in the month of December, that we would encourage you to check out. Taylor Blevins' interview is up. Of course, we've had 2 interviews with Meadow Larson. Recently spoke with Oathbreaker Carey.
We had Meadow. We had
Spency.
Taylor. We had.
We had Spency, and we had Madness DM, which is that's Brian.
Yep.
And we have more on the docket. So please support them, and also all of the other wonderful Black creators in this space. There are not enough of them, but every Black person that I've met who's played TTRPGs is 100 times cooler than I am.
Yes, and at a minimum.
And are very deserving of your support this month and every month.
Yes. Well, yeah. On that note, roll some more dice.
Yeah. May your games be wonderful now that everybody is getting back from the holiday break. And may no DM foist upon you an hour-long recap like I did.
I cannot think of a better way to send us into 2026. Until next time, rollers.